Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are watching from. Have Arsenal blown the title? That is the question we are going to be asking today. Okay, so today is Monday morning. It is the morning after the night before, as they say, and it was what was billed as a title decider yesterday between Pep Guardiola's Manchester City and Mikel Arteta's Arsenal, the eternal bridesmaids, as they have been billed. Okay, so yesterday was a very, very good game. It is the type of game which makes everybody understand why the Premier League is so entertaining. It is so watched around the world, and it is probably the most beloved football league in the world. We saw yesterday a very exciting game. I think Manchester City played a tremendous possession game. I think the first half they threatened to run away with the game, especially after Shirky scored that brilliant goal. The passing was fast, they were dynamic, and they were probably on the verge of getting 2 or 3 goals if it was not for the extraordinary error from Gianluigi Donnarumma, who looks like he had a little bit too many Gianluigi Donna kebabs the night before. So it was a very, very big shock when Arsenal equalised. But then in the second half, despite the toing and froing, Manchester City came out on top with a winning goal from the master goal scorer, Erling Haaland, who I'm sure at the end of the game was urging Arsenal to be humble. Now, have Arsenal blown the title? Now, mathematically, of course, Arsenal are still in the lead. Manchester City have a game in hand, although they have an inferior goal difference at the moment, although I suspect that will change over the next few weeks, okay? Now, we have to take a step back here. We have to look at exactly what is happening with Arsenal, and I'm going to give you my opinions about why Arsenal have completely imploded over the last few weeks, okay? Now, I have a theory. Okay, now I am actually, believe it or not, a qualified therapist. So I qualified in 2019. I help people with depression, with anxiety, with panic attacks. I was a teacher before that, and I'm giving you this information because I have a very, very good insight into people's mindsets, perhaps a little bit more than the average person. Okay, I'm going to give you my thoughts on what is happening to Mikel Arteta. Okay, now, if you look at some of the managers that we have seen over the years, okay, they have different personalities, they have different mindsets, and then these personalities and mindsets then affect the teams that they are then managing, okay, in their 40s, in their 50s, and sometimes in their 60s, okay. Now, I have a theory, and I don't know if you agree with it or not, but I believe that there is a certain type of manager, and I want you to listen really, really carefully. There is a certain type of manager who, if he has failed to become a world-class football player, I believe some managers carry that with them. They carry the disappointment with them into management, and then it comes out in very, very subconscious ways, perhaps ways that they themselves don't realize. Okay, so I'll give you a few examples. Okay, if you look at the case of Jose Mourinho's father, his name was Felix Mourinho. He was a professional goalkeeper in the Portuguese top division. He was, by all accounts, a pretty good goalkeeper, and I'm sure he had dreams of his son Jose becoming a footballer as well. So Jose played for a few clubs, and then in the end, simply, unfortunately, did not meet the standard to become a professional footballer. So if you fast forward, Jose Mourinho then became a translator because he was a very intelligent individual. He spoke a number of languages, and what happened was he then became a football manager. And if you look at his career, despite the trophies that he's won, okay, despite the fact that he is obviously a fantastic manager in many, many different ways, he has won many, many trophies and has been, along with Pep Guardiola, the most successful manager of the last 20 years or so. Now, if you look at Mourinho very, very carefully, he has engaged in actions that you do not expect managers to engage in. Okay, so he has a number of times when his team have scored, he has actually slid down the touchline on his knees, despite the fact that he's wearing a 300-pound Italian suit. Okay, now what I believe is happening here is the Jose Mourinho that failed as a footballer. I believe that he has carried that disappointment with him, and he's trying to relive the moment as a footballer, as if he was a footballer, even though he is actually now a football manager. Okay, so I think people carry this with them, and I think they end up trying to make themselves the main character. Okay, I call it main character syndrome. So I believe that Rafa Benitez was also another one. So if you look at Rafa Benitez, there were times when he was rotating the team for no reason. The team had won, somebody had scored, then they'd get dropped. And he did this thing. I remember it very, very well. Rafa Benitez, even though Claudio Ranieri was known as the Tinkerman, Rafa Benitez himself actually went 99 games without an unchanged lineup. Okay, I'm going to say that again because you will find that extraordinary to believe, especially the younger fans. But Rafa Benitez went 99 games as Liverpool manager, and in each of those 99 games, there were not 2 consecutive games where the team was the same. Okay, and what happened was when he got to 99, he left the team unchanged for the 100th game. Why did he do this? He did this because the press were saying to him, you tinker with the team too much. It's going to be 100 games without an unchanged lineup. And then kind of like as a petty, I would describe it as a petty decision, because a Liverpool manager certainly should not be thinking about what the press are saying about him when he selects his team for the Saturday or for the Wednesday. And for the 100th game, he left the team unchanged just to prove a point, okay? So I believe that Jose Mourinho has a type of main character syndrome. I believe Mikel Arteta has a type of main character syndrome, and I believe that Jose Mourinho had a type of main character syndrome. Okay, now people will say Arteta was a professional. What are you talking about? Now, Arteta was a professional footballer. This is absolutely correct, but you have to remember that Arteta was a Spanish footballer during the golden era of Spanish football. Okay, so he was forced to watch his Spanish compatriots win the World Cup without him being in the squad, win the Euros without him being in the squad. Then I believe they won the Euros again 4 years later, and his best friend, who is Xabi Alonso, he was in the squad, he was in the team. And I think for Mikel Arteta, it must have been a little bit painful. Okay, so if you fast forward to his management career, if you look at the way he manages Arsenal, I believe that he makes himself the main character, meaning that he doesn't trust the players to be free-flowing. I think he's way too defensive. I think he's way too negative. I think he has way too much to say about too many things. And I think he has not created a foundation for the explosive, fast, creative players to express themselves. Okay, so if we look at Saka compared to a few years ago, if we look at Martinelli, who Jurgen Klopp described as the world's greatest young talent, and if we look at Eze, who's only been there for about 5 minutes, he seems to coach the talent out of the team, and I think that is the main reason why Arsenal are struggling. Okay, now I believe personally, I believe that is it. There might be one or two twists and turns, but knowing Pep Guardiola, he is like a shark. If he smells blood, he does not let the matter go. And I don't think Arsenal now will be able to fight back against this Manchester City juggernaut, because what we have here is we have a high-speed train, a juggernaut, which is called Manchester City, and Arsenal have become Thomas the Tank Engine. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed my psychological insights into Jose Mourinho and Rafa Benitez, and also into Mikel Arteta. Please, if you can, like the video, if you don't mind, even if you thought it was absolute crap. Please subscribe to my channel. That would make me extremely happy indeed. And please leave your comments in the comments section. So have Arsenal blown the title? Who do you think is going to win the Premier League this season? And do you think Mikel Arteta's job is under threat if he fails to win the Premier League and the Champions League this season? Okay, do let me know in the comment section. Okay, so thank you so much for your time. Absolutely fantastic to see you, and I will see you again very, very soon.
Liverpool FC is hard as hell. United, Tottenham, Arsenal. Watch my lips, and I will spell, because they don't just play, but they can